Welcome back to Definitely Not Definitive. I'm Ken.
And I'm Bethany.
And we're just a fun couple in love that loves having some fun with Fallout.
And this one is going to be interesting.
Yes, this is Fallout Season 1, Episode 15, Aliens of Mothership Zeta. So nice little tease there at the end, like they always do. So looking forward to checking out, what the Mothership Zeta is all about. And if you want all of our Fallout reactions, check out the description of this video. We got a playlist there for you. We got a link to our Patreon and get early ad-free access.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's time for a drink. This is our Fallout drink. Fallout officially has its own drink.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Stim Pack Spritzer, which is why, and Ken's ahead of me. We have our Stim Packs. So you got to put that into the drink, mix it up a little bit, and then you're all set.
Cheers.
Cheers, but let's go learn about these aliens.
You've experienced the Fallout series in your own way, but want to learn more about its story. Well, to get to the heart of the story, you have to go back to the beginning.
The aliens.
We interrupt this program to give you a bulletin just received from one of our naval units at sea. A large object traveling at supersonic speed is headed over the North Atlantic toward the east coast of the United States.
The Army has taken every precaution to meet any emergency which may develop.
That guy scares shitless.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think something is happening.
Not friendly. Awesome.
Clearly they learned about us through watching TikTok.
Yeah.
When the sun rises on the wasteland, a wanderer can look out over this vast stretch of lifeless dust and feel utterly alone. When that sun sets and the stars shine, mankind must accept that we are far from alone in this universe. Of late, humanity has had to share the Earth with mutants, ghouls, and robots, but it has been centuries since our species could claim this planet as our sole domain. Even when America was just a group of colonies 600 years ago, it was being watched from afar by a diabolical race from the far reaches of the cosmos. Most people will laugh if you say that aliens exist. Folk will believe in walking corpses, talking death claws, and brains in jars with psychic powers, but they draw the line at little green men and flying saucers.
Fair point.
That's the stuff of pre-war holotapes and radio shows. But no matter how stubborn the skeptics are, the evidence is undeniable. Go to the right part of the wasteland, and anyone can see the remains of a crashed UFO for themselves. Some people wave these sightings off as experimental pre-war aircraft that just look like UFOs, but that flying saucer north of Washington, D.C. sure wasn't a pre-war bomber. Alien ships have been crashing all over the wasteland for over 100 years. They're hidden deep in the wasteland, but they're out there for those who want to believe. The descendants of the Vault Dweller from Vault 13 swear that the Vault Dweller stumbled upon such a craft over a century ago and briefly carried an alien weapon. The Wasteland's top scientific minds have held the thing in their hands.
Disintegration rate?
It doesn't work anymore. Runs on some kind of alien power cell that humanity can't reproduce. But some of the brightest minds in the Wasteland have examined it and are convinced that it's beyond anything made by human hands, even before the war. That particular space blaster disappeared a while ago. Last anyone knew, it was in the hands of a talkative merchant who probably had no idea what the thing was. Might have made its way into the hands of someone who put it to good use, or it could be at the bottom of an old saddlebag adorning some Brahmin skeleton in the middle of the NCR. Other alien artifacts have been discovered all over the wasteland, and some of the more wondrous technology out there is said to be derived from alien designs. A few unfortunate people out in the wasteland are cursed with mutations that grant them psychic powers. Sounds like a tall tale, but when you've seen a person's head explode from within, you'll become a believer right quick.
Yeah.
The only thing that keeps these folks from nuking their noggins is a psychic nullifier that
Nuking
uses
their
alleged
noggins.
alien engineering. The Master used these to keep some of his more unique mutants under control, but the design can still be found out there being used by highly intuitive denizens of the Mojave. Much of the amazing technology that the Enclave used is speculated to have extraterrestrial origins back before the war, and some military installations even have artificial intelligence that was said to be created in pre-war times with alien technology. The government back then never officially admitted it, but they knew that aliens had visited Earth. Right before the Great War, some of the smarter folk figured out that the apocalypse was a-comin', and they came up with all kinds of plans to survive. Vaults and secret oil rigs, but one of the more daring plans was to leave Earth entirely. The knowledge that there were other inhabitable worlds out there inspired the Enclave to look into space travel, although the war hit before they could actually get off the planet. The Enclave are probably lucky that they never made it to another world, because by all accounts, the aliens are just as nasty as anything here on Earth. Yup, there are people who've met these malevolent visitors face to face and can still talk about it. A few years ago, a person who came out of one of the vaults on the East Coast ended up getting teleported aboard one of the motherships. That's right, those little saucers that are crashed all over the place. Those are just scout ships. There is a whole army of aliens up there in a mothership, and their own records prove that they've been here for a good 600 years.
Damn.
Kidnapping and experimenting on humanity the whole time. The aliens' own records indicate that they've been here since 1697, maybe even longer, considering that some of their captives were wearing medieval armor and carrying swords. A handful of those unfortunates survived the ordeal, and now have the rare privilege of looking down at the ruins of Earth from their home in the sky. The view probably ain't as pretty as it used to be before the war, and some of them know firsthand. They were kept in a form of suspended animation that's more advanced than anything on Earth. People hundreds of years old, emerging from stasis without aging a day. Bet the folks at Vault Tech would have loved to have had access to that sort of tech back when. These alien captives are among the few unmutated people who were alive before the Great War. They can not only talk about their lives back in bygone centuries, but they can also describe what it was like to live among the invaders from space. These beings do not see humanity as equals. Our lives mean no more to them than Brahman. According to the survivors,
Lab
when a
rats.
human is captured, they're interrogated briefly, then tortured and stored away in stasis until the day their captors decide to use them for gruesome experiments. Maybe at some point in the past, the aliens' goal was simple vivisection, to open us up and see what makes us tick. But eventually, they learned to manipulate the human body and transform us into mindless abominations. Maybe they needed these half-human abominations as soldiers to fight in some far-off war. Maybe they were the unexpected results of a failed experiment in trying to transform humans into something else entirely. Or maybe these aliens are just a bunch of little green jerks. We can't truly fathom their goals, though. We
Got me
can
to
only gather
snort.
evidence and seek out patterns in the nigh inscrutable collection of objects discovered in the cargo holds of their ships. Their teleportation beams have been sucking up junk from the Earth's surface for centuries, and the random materials are crudely organized around their ship, as though they are trying to learn about us by examining our junk foods and soda machines. Elsewhere in the massive ship are neatly organized rooms devoted to unlikely objects that were carefully collected and preserved. Just what were the aliens planning with that vast armada of robot ponies? Was alien technology used to make children's toys in the pre-war days? Could these visitors have done more than merely observe us in the years leading up to the war? The answer could be too terrifying to imagine. Humanity is not the only species to suffer at the hands of these creatures, though. They seem to have spent some time interrogating various other Earth species before determining humanity to be the most intelligent. They might have gotten the impression that Brahmin were the smartest creatures around on account of the two heads, but that hasn't kept the Brahmin out of harm's way in the alien experimentation labs. Our species are alike in some ways, though. We can eat their food, such as it is. As far as we can tell, they live on a diet of space squids and giant worms. Not exactly a delicacy from Blamco, but no worse than Mirelurk meat. We can use their biogel too to heal our wounds, and even keep disembodied brains alive for decades after they've been removed from their bodies. But it doesn't seem like our visitors appreciate the similarities between our species. To them, we're no more than lab rats. The good news is that whatever pony-loving scheme they were up to was stopped a few years ago when that vault dweller got beamed up to the Mothership. That fancy light show over the eastern horizon a while back was a battle happening in outer space. Somehow humanity got the upper hand in that ruckus, and now there are a lot fewer aliens around. They ain't all gone, though. A little north of Vegas, some of the farmers have been seeing strange lights in the sky recently, and you can bet it isn't a vertibird. The aliens have held off any sort of full-scale invasion, but those little scout ships are still out there causing trouble for people who wander into the wrong parts of this wild wasteland. There are people who claim to have seen other species of alien life around the wasteland. With all the weird mutants out there, you can't blame them for thinking that some of these critters can't be from this world. The Wanamingos out in California are often called aliens. They're actually the descendants of genetically engineered creatures that were bred back before the Great War, using the forced evolutionary virus. They look like something out of an old science fiction holotape, all tentacles and gaping maws. Most of them were wiped out a few decades ago when some adventurers killed the Wanamingo Queen out in Redding. That was the only known queen, but there have been sightings of Wanamingos as far west as San Francisco, too. Luckily, as a species, they've all but died out these days.
Damn.
Good thing, too, since they were mighty tough to bring down. A good flamer helped keep them at bay, but if you ever come across one of them, just shoot it in the groin socket to show it who's boss. Flamingos aside, it seems like the skies have become a safer place for now, but the aliens are still out there. Who knows what they're after? It's not unrealistic to think an alien race flew all this way for raw materials or a sip of water. Water. Now that's a resource that's always been in demand, and those who control it control the wasteland. But that is a story for another day.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm. I like this one because it felt like the narrator had a lot more jokes in there, like slipping in every now and then. Like, I mean, it's nice. I like how in this Storyteller series, like they start out like pretty lighthearted, like with and make some jokes then before they go into the dark stuff. But like throughout this one, he made like a bunch of jokes I thought were good. Like I said, one of them got me to snort. It was like maybe they're just green assholes.
I did like the fact that we got more of the narrator's personality in here. And I wonder if that's because we're getting near the end. So like he's able to inject a little more of his personality and humor to kind of like bookend the darkness that is the Fallout world.
We got a lot of ways to go. Beautiful.
Oh, do we?
There's 76 episodes of this.
Oh, so this is just, he just likes the aliens.
Yeah.
Okay. I also found it really interesting just the way that they kind of talked about the aliens and what they were doing. And in particular, when it talked about like keeping a brain that's been outside the body alive, it made me think of the exact last episode, the think tank, and how like they had been striving for that. Sounds like maybe the aliens are doing it better. But I noticed comparisons there because I was like, okay, so the aliens of Mothership Zeta are essentially the alien think tank. Mm-hmm. And so they are experimenting on things to see what they can use and how they can continue their own legacy and their own species. So I don't know. I found it interesting.
Yeah, and there were a lot of parallels to the think tank as well, because like they kind of just viewed humans as lab rats, just like the aliens did. So it's not like they were any better just because like they had humanity. They're like, So good episode again. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what the issue is with water supply.
It also just got me thinking because there's been talk of potentially UFOs kind of in the news and sort of like in the background of mainstream media, I would say for probably the last year or two, or maybe since COVID began. Maybe we all just got really bored in COVID and so people started finding aliens. Whenever I think of the possibility of aliens out there, I always just think of a line from a Jodie Foster movie called Contact. And it's a line that her dad says to her when she asks him if there are aliens out there. And he said, well, he's like, if there aren't, it's an awful waste of space. And that's always stuck with me because, I mean, space is vast, it's immense, it's huge. And while we got really lucky with our planet and really lucky with the life that occurred here, it's kind of bizarre to think that we're the one and only shot.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe we'll meet little green jerks one day.
You'll let us know what you thought about this down below in the comments. And if you want early ad-free access to our Fallout reactions, check out the description of this video. We got a link to our Patreon, as well as a playlist for all of our Fallout reactions we have on YouTube so far.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for checking out our reaction for Fallout Season 1, Episode 15, but just keep in mind
that our reaction is definitely not definitive.